So if you're interested in starting a career in audio engineering, or just want to mix people's music and stuff, this video is going to help you out. Hopefully, I really do hope it helps you out. But that's why I'm making it, because help you out. Not to help me out, but help you out. Although I'm not going to cover like the specific hardware components like compressors, limiters, or any like hardware like that, or anything related, and nothing like that. Anyways, like you want to mix, you just need the equipment. Like what equipment do I need in order to mix people's music or masters people's music? All right. So this is like the bare bones, in my opinion, like what you need in order to be like considered an audio engineer, in my opinion, right? Of course, people are gonna say some whatever, it's cool, you get it. You'll need the following pieces of equipment to start your audio journey. So what you're gonna need is a computer, a digital audio workstation or a DAW, a pair of headphones, an audio interface, and finally a set of speakers. I'll break down each of these in detail and explain their importance, but check the timestamp below to easily navigate and like switch to the topics you want to jump into. So you need to make a choice between a desktop and a laptop computer. So just ask yourself, if you're going to be traveling, if you're always going to be away from home, then it probably would be better to get a laptop. But if you're always home, I suggest getting a desktop computer and even building your own if you can. It's worth the money. You're investing in yourself and you're investing in your career pretty much. So if you're choosing a laptop, I'd go with Apple, like the MacBook Air or the MacBook Pro. Although it does cost like a lot more, I do think it is worth the extra, even though it does cost a lot. It costs as much as a desktop, as a custom PC or whatever. I personally have a MacBook Pro, but since I built my own computer, I don't use the laptop that much. I just mainly use it for school and other stuff like that. So in terms of Windows laptops, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I can't recommend a Windows laptop that I personally bought and use and would buy again. I can't. So it doesn't matter what it is, Dell, Asus, or I don't know, Toshiba. I don't know. You know what I mean? But you can, it doesn't matter what operating system you choose. If it's Mac OS, Linux, Windows, it doesn't matter. There's a DAW for your system. So yeah, if you are working from home, like you're not going to be traveling a lot, or you just don't mind working when you're at home, a desktop computer is the way to go. But also, if you got money to spend, and if you're getting a desktop computer, you do have money to spend, right? Safe to say. Build a custom one. Build a custom desktop computer tailored to you, to your specs. I'll give out some specs right now. So when you're shopping for both desktop and laptop computers, I suggest considering these specifications. You can go like different, like depending if you want a better GPU, or you want your laptop to have a 4K monitor, or you want a 1080p monitor, like what I mean. Go ahead, like so for RAM, 16 gigabytes. 8 gigabytes you could get away with, but don't, especially if you're getting a laptop. If you get a laptop, the specs you're getting is the specs that you're going to have for the next, 5 years, and you can't upgrade that later on. You can't upgrade it because maybe or maybe you get a laptop that's that's modular and you can upgrade it. But for a majority of laptops, you pay for what you get. You can't do anything. You're stuck with that. So for storage, I suggest a 1 terabyte SSD. Not a hard drive. Hard drives are pretty slow in comparison of solid state drives. It's just better. For CPU, you can either get an Intel i5 or better, a AMD Ryzen 5 or better. But yeah, please note that the M1 chip or the M1 or the M chips are only available on Apple hardware. So iMac, MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, they all have like the M. Well, not all of them, so just double check what it is. If it's not an M chip, it's going to be Intel, I'm pretty sure. So just check the specifications. If you just worry about these three like specs, you're going to have a good experience. For the GPU, Dude, I have a RX 580, so you know what I mean? Like, it's barely holding on. I probably have to upgrade my GPU in like next year. I mean, it's good, you know? I mean, I'm not complaining about it. If your GPU is better than an RX 580, you're good. All right, so a digital audio workstation or a DAW. Pick one and just start mixing tracks together. Just get started, just dive into it. Because there's a lot of DAWs. Live 11, Logic Pro, FL Studio, Cubase, Reason, Reaper, and finally Pro Tools. You probably heard of Pro Tools. In my opinion, this is probably a hot take, but I don't think you need to use Pro Tools if you want to, record stuff or just mix stuff. I don't really think. I'll be honest, I only use Pro Tools probably like twice ever, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the workflow, so I just stopped using Pro Tools. I just use Live 11 and Cubase 12, and they work great for me. So I mean, you don't need it. You don't need to use Pro Tools. I'm sorry if that's a hot take. I'm not sorry. What am I saying? I'm not sorry that if it's a hot take or not. I don't think you need to use Pro Tools. Pro Tools is whatever. People say it's the standard, but the standard of music making is changing every day, every year, every decade. So yeah, so just pick a DAW that you want to use and just stick to it. And then if you do want to like switch over to a different DAW, you can, because once you learn one DAW, you can easily switch over to another one. Or like, you still have to learn, but like, it's not going to be much learning, like there's like a lot of information that you can take from your knowledge of like FL Studio to Ableton, right? Like well, maybe that's not the best, like, you know what I mean? Like there is going to be a few hiccups and like when you're switching DAWs, but if you want to switch a DAW, you can always switch a DAW. No one's telling you not to switch a DAW. Switch a DAW, use whatever DAW you want to use. Everyone works in a box nowadays, so it doesn't really make a difference. But if you want to use a specific DAW like Logic Pro X or Pro Logic or whatever it's called, Logic Pro, that's exclusively to Mac OS. You can't use it on Windows, you can't use it on Linux. So if you want to use Logic Pro, you got to make sure you're on a Mac. You got to make sure you're on Apple. I'm sorry, they bought the software. The software is pretty cheap. The software is probably like $200 USD, I think. On Logic Pro's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if Logic Pro was on Windows, I probably would use it alongside 11 instead of using Cubase. That's for sure. Other than that, most of the DAWs that I listed or named off, they're on both Windows and Linux. The support for Linux is like, it's getting better. If you're on Linux, probably the best DAWs would be Reaper and probably Bitwig. So if you have an EDU email, you can apply for a student discount on some of these DAWs. So go to their website. I think Ableton has a student discount. What else has a student discount? That's all I know. All I know is that, yeah, for sure, I know Cubase has a student discount. I don't think FL has a student discount. Reason probably might have student discount. Pro Tools has a student discount, but it's like a subscription base, or something like that. I don't know. I don't use Pro Tools. You know how I feel about Pro Tools. But yeah, double check if your DAW manufacturer or maker has the student discount. The student discounts can be to 40% off or 50% off. So depending on how nice they want to be. And it's a better sale than a Black Friday sale. So now we're going to talk about headphones. There are two types of headphones. There are closed back headphones, open back headphones. Closed back headphones have sealed ear cups that block out external noise and prevent sound leakage, making them ideal for noisy environments or recording audio. On the other hand, open back headphones allow air and sound to pass through, resulting in a more natural soundstage. External noise can leak in and leak out, making them less suitable for noisy environments or recording. If your budget allows for it, you may want to consider investing in both closed back headphones and open back headphones. For closed back headphones, I recommend the Sony 7506. I love these headphones so much that I bought two pairs, one for the studio and one for traveling, or in case someone needs an extra pair of headphones. For open back headphones, I suggest the Sennheiser HD600s or the Beyerdynamics DT990s. When shopping for headphones, it's important to know the impedance of your headphones, which is measured in ohms. All you need to know is that the higher the number, the higher amount of power required to drive the headphones properly. When your headphones can't be properly powered, the audio will be low, even if you're at 100% volume. Audio interfaces will properly drive a pair of 63 ohms all the way up to 300 ohm headphones. Some brands like Beyerdynamics have their ohms labeled, but for most headphones, you're going to have to look up the model's manual for the correct ohms. Here's the manual for the Sony MDR 7506 headphones. And I also went to check if Amazon provided a manual, and they did. A direct link to Sony's updated manual. Now it's time to pick an audio interface. Audio interfaces are designed to provide a clean and powerful signal amplification for microphones, instruments, guitars, synths, samplers. They'll all connect to your audio interface. They also provide enough juice for both higher impedance headphones and speaker monitors. When picking an audio interface, what type of inputs and outputs do you need? For example, if you're going to record a single artist with a guitar, you'll need an audio interface with at least 2 inputs. How about a podcast with 4 people? Then you'll need an interface with 4 inputs. Some interfaces don't have balanced outputs. Instead, they have RCA, which aren't balanced. More on this later. Also, if you have a microphone that requires phantom power, 48 volts, make sure you get an interface that can supply that, so read the manual. For a cheap and reliable audio interface, I'd go with a Behringer U-Phoria UMC202HD. It has both RCA and balanced outputs with MIDI in and out. Now to the final topic, speaker monitors, also called reference speakers, are natural sounding speakers that prioritize accuracy over artificially enhancing the sound. If you're familiar with the brand Bose, they're known for their specific sound. That sound being rolled off treble, boosted highs, reduced mids, and let's not forget bass boost. This is an example of artificially enhancing the sound. So always remember, natural over artificial. That also applies to real life. If you don't have the space or budget for speaker monitors, don't worry. Starting audio can be expensive due to the necessary hardware. That's also another reason why we're talking about speakers last. Investing in speaker monitors is beneficial, but if your space or budget doesn't allow for it, you can just start off with headphones. I have a pair of Yamaha HS8s, but if one of my speakers stopped working, knock on wood, the cost to replace one of the speakers would be $400 USD. That's a lot of cheese, especially for a student. However, this wouldn't stop me from working. I'll just mix on headphones, finalize on headphones, and if you're on a deadline, you gotta follow through. Remember to prioritize equipment based on your needs and budget.